What's up, YouTube? This is my review of the Ariel Rider C-Class bicycle. Gonna go over the good stuff, the bad stuff, and a bit of overall info. If you are interested in just watching the next 30 seconds, I'll give a synopsis real quick. It's a great bike, but unfortunately the gearing is off, the seat is too high, and the build quality is medium plus at best. So if you're taller than me, you're probably not going to have any trouble. I'm 5'6" for reference, and if you don't mind pedaling fast, you're not going to have any trouble. That's not something that I wanted out of my e-bike, so I had to make some changes. And as far as the build quality goes, I don't know if there's much you can do about all these import e-bikes. They're mass producing them. Unless you want to pay a substantially higher price, you're just not going to be able to get something that is truly like a high-end bike quality. All right, so let's get into the issues piece by piece and try and make this video quick. So as far as the brakes go, disc brakes are a wonderful thing. However, it would certainly be nicer if these disc brakes were machined to a higher tolerance. Don't be surprised if your front or back brake rubs a little. You may need to adjust the brake caliper. The light, it's actually pretty good. Just so you know, there's a manual switch on the back. I installed mine and thought it was broken because when I turned it on through the LED controller, it didn't turn on. Well, that's because there's also a manual turn on. The fork. It's a cheap fork. It adds weight to the bike. It's completely unnecessary. After all, this thing has big-ass balloon bicycle tires, and they even decided to go with a pogo seat. So, realistically, the fork is just so that they can say on the website that that thing has a fork. But it's not actually bad. It's just unnecessary. The handlebars are great. They have this easy release lever right here that you can click this button and pull up on that allows you to adjust the angle, the rotation, and everything with the handlebars and get them just right. I think that's badass. The brakes are smooth and responsive despite the issues with the discs. You just got to get them right, but then they feel awesome. The bell, very simple bell here. It works great. I love it. It doesn't ring or, jingle when I'm riding. So it's only there for when I need to pass somebody. The shifter and the gears. So they use, it's hard to see from this, but they use an internally geared Shimano Nexus 7 hub. And realistically, that's actually a great hub if you do not fuck with it. Which, unfortunately, I had to take the back wheel off because I got a flat and because I wanted to change the rear sprocket to a 16-tooth instead of an 18-tooth. So, it's really not a pleasure to deal with if you ever have to take off the back wheel. But the concept is sound. The battery is fantastic. The motor is fantastic. This is a mid-drive with a torque sensor. It feels like riding an actual bicycle. It does not feel like you are a hamster stuck on a hamster wheel. The rear rack is rock solid. I really like what they went with. As far as the fenders go, they're a little bit rickety. I really wish that the rear fender did not have the light built into it because, truth be told, I would probably just take the damn thing off. But it's a necessity. The front fender isn't necessary, and I'm probably going to uninstall mine because I don't ride through puddles a lot, and the bike looks a lot cooler without it. It's tough to see from this side, but I had to take off the chain guard, and I really like the look of the bike without the chain guard. There's already a small chain guard built into the front, so you don't need the full chain guard, especially if you just get like some sort of Velcro wrap to go around your right pant leg when you're driving. You won't have any trouble at all. The seat is one of the things that they screwed up on this bike. As you can see, it has a pogo seat to add a little bit of suspension. That's completely unnecessary because it turns out the seat is comfortable and the tires are giant-ass balloons. So you don't need that unless you're riding off-road. And if you're riding off-road, well, congratulations. You bought the wrong bicycle. This is a town cruiser. It should be used on paths, streets, sidewalks, and at best some light dirt or gravel. This is not an off-road vehicle. So, getting into some of the specs and the info that people actually care about. How fast does it go? Well, if you pedal your ass off, you could certainly get up to about 25 miles per hour, no problem. If you just use the throttle, which works in setting 0, you could probably get up to about 22 miles per hour on a flat ground, maybe 21. If you're going down a hill, about as high as 25 or 26 miles per hour. So the throttle is actually useful. It does do something, but since it only operates in setting 0, it kind of sucks because you can't just goose the throttle while you're normally pedaling along. But if you're looking for a bike that you ride on throttle, this is not the one you want anyway. This is a bike for people who want to get a light workout and get some pedaling in when going to and from work, getting groceries, etc. It's ideal for me because I play a lot of sports that use my legs, and therefore I need kind of a cool down workout to prevent my legs from cramping. This bike is perfect when coming back from playing volleyball or tennis or something like that. You get that nice, easy, cool down pedaling motion. I ride it to work in the morning and I never get sweaty even though it's been hot as hell out here in Colorado. This thing works great. But back to the seat real quick. The issue here is that the seat has to be at least 2 inches higher than it should be at its minimum because of this little pogo adjustment. So if you are shorter than 5'6", maybe 5'5", since my girl can ride it without any trouble, you are going to want to change out your seat post, and that way you can get back those 2 inches. That would be critical if you are a rider that is between like 5'2" and 5'4". If you're any shorter than 5'2", I don't know if this bike would work for you, even changing out the seat post. Now, getting into the major issue with the bicycle and the major issue with e-bikes in general. The whole idea behind an e-bike, as far as I'm concerned, is that you could pedal along casually and yet go a good speed. That way you can get to work without sweating. That way you can get home from sports and other activities without having to work your ass off when you're already tired. I mean, the idea is you pedal along casually on your bicycle and yet you go a very decent speed. Well, that doesn't work on this bicycle. The reason that that doesn't work on this bicycle is because they decided to use gearing that was not correct for the power of the motor. The motor is substantially powerful. I've never used it above about setting 2. Maybe setting 3 to climb a hill, but I don't even know what setting 4 and 5 do. The real answer is that this thing is a beast. It has tons of torque and tons of power, while not necessarily having tons of speed. So, what you have to do is you have to change the gears. There are 2 ways to do this. Don't do what I did. Do not try and change the rear gear. It is an 18 tooth. It does accommodate a 16 tooth. That is what is on my bike right now, and it requires taking off the rear wheel. Taking off the rear wheel will make you wish that you had never bought this bike in the first place. Don't be like me, be smart. Take off the chain guard and remove the front gear. The front gear is supposed to be a 46 tooth gear. You might think, wait a minute, how can you fit much larger of a gear on there? After all, the battery is in the way. Yeah, well, that's because the website is wrong. The front gear is not a 46 tooth gear. It is a 42 tooth gear. I ordered a 48 tooth gear from Amazon, put it on, held it up against the thing, and there was still battery clearance. I could have ordered a 50. Now I'm pissed off. But the point is, you need to change the gears on this bicycle if you want to be able to pedal casually and yet go a decent speed. To give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, when I had the original gearing on the bike and I pedaled along casually, I'd go about 12 miles an hour, nice and easy. If I pedaled at a moderate pace, maybe about 14. If I pedaled a little quicker, I could probably get her up to like, I don't know, 17 or 18, and if I pedaled hard, I could get to 20 and above. That's not what you want as far as I'm concerned. I want to be able to pedal casually and travel at 16 to 18 miles per hour, which means that I needed to change the gearing. And when I pedal moderately, I want to go 20, and when I pedal hard, I want to go near the top end of, 24, 25 miles per hour. So, unless you want to look like a hamster on a wheel, you're going to need to change the gearing on this bicycle because it has tons of power, but it does not have a gear ratio that allows you to pedal casually and get what you want. My recommendations, if you're a shorter rider, change the seat post. If you're everybody else, change the front gearing from something to 48 or 50, because it currently is a 42 tooth front gear. Any basic bicycle shop should be able to do this for you because it does not require removing the brakes, the rear wheel, the shifter, any of that crap. It's literally just take off the chain guard, uninstall the bolts, change the front chain ring, and voila. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to have to break your chain and add a few links to compensate, but voila. You should be in and out of there in about half an hour. That's how easy of a change it is. And you can get the chain tension correct because you are not removing the back wheel. Although you can adjust the chain tension by moving the back wheel forwards and backwards, I just don't recommend it. If you add like a 48 tooth gear instead of a 42, just add the proper amount of chains to your overall, or chain links to your overall chain. Anyhow, this has been my review of the Ariel Rider C-Class. It is a good bike. It needs a little bit of work. It should not have come with that seat post. It should not have come with a front fork, but it is a good bike, and you can make it a great bike just by going to a reputable bike shop and getting them to do a simple procedure for you. Anyway, enjoy it out there. Put any questions that you have, and I'll answer them because I'm sure there's tons of shit that I forgot. Thanks.